Forget flames and pitchforks. When it came to punishment, the ancient world had a way more twisted imagination. They believed in punishments that were poetic, personal, and perfectly, eternally crafted to fit the crime. We're about to uncover the secret torments from the underworlds you've never heard of, where the real horror isn't just pain, but the complete and utter loss of all hope. When you picture hell, you probably think of a big fiery pit, right? A one-size-fits-all damnation for every sinner. But that's the modern, simplified version. If you go back further into Greek myths, Roman epics, and the intricate afterlives of the East, you find something far more psychologically terrifying. You find punishments that aren't just about suffering. They're about a dark, poetic justice. These aren't random acts of divine anger. They're carefully constructed nightmares, each one a dark mirror reflecting the sinner's life. These ancient cultures understood that the deepest torment isn't burning for eternity, but being forced to confront the very essence of your failings forever. These myths weren't just spooky stories for kids. They were complex explorations of justice and human nature. They teach us that for every action, there isn't just a reaction, but a reflection. Our first stop is the deepest pit of the Greek underworld, Tartarus. This wasn't just a holding cell for the dead, it was a cosmic prison for the biggest offenders against the gods, a place of tailored eternal torment. And here we find King Tantalus, who was enduring a punishment so famous it gave us the word tantalize. Tantalus was a son of Zeus, a king so favored he was invited to dine with the gods themselves. He knew their secrets, heard their plans, and even tasted their divine food, nectar and ambrosia. But that intimacy bred a horrifying arrogance that would seal his doom. The stories disagree on his exact crime. Some say he stole the gods' divine food to impress his mortal friends. Others claim he blabbed their secrets. But the most gruesome version, the one that truly shows his depravity, is about a banquet he threw for the gods. To test if they were truly all-knowing, Tantalus did the unthinkable. He murdered his own son, Pelops, and served him in a stew. The gods, horrified, immediately knew. All except for a grief-stricken Demeter, who accidentally ate a piece of the boy's shoulder. Zeus, Tantalus's own father, was appalled. He restored Pelops to life, giving him a new shoulder made of ivory. But for Tantalus, there would be no second chances. His punishment would be a masterpiece of cruelty. He was sent to Tartarus to stand in a pool of cool, clear water. Above his head hung branches heavy with ripe, juicy fruit. He was sentenced to an eternity of gnawing hunger and burning thirst. But whenever he bends down to drink, the water drains away, leaving nothing but dry dust at his feet. And whenever he reaches up for a pear or a fig, the wind whips the branches just out of his grasp. He is forever surrounded by the very things that could save him, but he can never, ever have them. His punishment isn't just hunger. It's the constant, crushing disappointment of seeing salvation right there, but always out of reach. He abused the privilege of a divine feast with a feast of horror. So, the gods condemned him to an eternity where the banquet is always in front of him, but he can never take a single bite. So that's the hell of eternal longing. But what if the torment isn't about wanting something you can't have, but being forced to do something you can never finish? What if hell is just a job with no end? This brings us to two of the most famous grinds in the underworld, the Danaides and Sisyphus. First, picture a huge wedding. 50 brides for 50 grooms. It's supposed to be a great union between the 50 daughters of King Danaus and the 50 sons of his brother, Aegyptus. But Danaus was paranoid, convinced his nephews were plotting against him. So, he planned a gruesome defense. He gave each of his 50 daughters a dagger and made them swear an oath. On their wedding night, they would murder their new husbands. 49 of them went through with it. Only one, Hypermnestra, refused. The rest committed a horrific betrayal of both marriage and family. Their punishment in Tartarus seemed simple enough. The 49 Danaides were ordered to carry water in jars to fill a large basin. Once it was full, their sins would be washed away. Simple, right? But of course there was a catch. The jars they were given were riddled with cracks. No matter how much water they carried or how fast they worked, the basin would never, ever be full. Every drop they poured was a drop lost. Their punishment wasn't just hard labor, it was the slow, maddening realization that all their effort was completely and eternally pointless. They defiled a union meant to be fruitful and create life, so they were damned to a task that was forever fruitless. Theirs is the hell of meaninglessness. And they're not alone. Nearby, another soul is toiling at an equally pointless job. This is Sisyphus, a king whose biggest crime was thinking he was smarter than the gods. This guy was a cunning trickster who, among other things, managed to cheat death by literally chaining up Thanatos, the god of death. For a while, nobody on Earth could die. He even tricked Persephone, queen of the underworld, into letting him go back to the world of the living. But you don't outsmart the gods forever. For his arrogance, Zeus gave Sisyphus a punishment of exquisite irony. He was condemned for all eternity to push a massive boulder up a steep hill. With every muscle straining, he struggles to get the rock to the summit. But every single time, just as he's about to reach the top, the boulder slips and goes tumbling all the way back down to the bottom, and Sisyphus has to trudge back down and start all over again. He spent his life trying to escape his fate, so his afterlife is an inescapable, pointless routine. He is trapped in a cycle of near success and absolute failure, a perfect symbol for a man whose clever plans, in the end, always amounted to nothing. This whole idea, punishment fitting the crime, isn't just a Greek thing. It shows up in afterlives all over the world. The Italians even have a word for it, contrapasso, which roughly means the suffering of the opposite. And maybe the most detailed vision of this comes from Dante Alighieri's 14th century epic, The Inferno. Dante's hell is a meticulously organized cone of suffering with 9 circles, each with punishments designed to be a twisted reflection of the sins themselves. Take the second circle, the lustful. In life they were swept away by passion, so in death they are literally swept around for eternity by a violent, relentless storm. In the third circle, the gluttonous, who overindulged in life, are forced to lie in a disgusting, icy slush like pigs in mud, while the 3-headed dog Cerberus slobbers over them. But the deeper you go, the more personal it gets. The 8th circle, for fraud, has 10 different ditches called the evil pockets. Here, the punishments get chillingly specific. Flatterers are sunk in a river of human excrement, a gross reflection of the filth that came out of their mouths. Corrupt politicians are plunged into a river of boiling black pitch, symbolizing their sticky, secretive, dirty deals. And in a truly haunting image, the sowers of discord, people who tore apart families, religions, or societies, are forced to walk in a circle as a demon hacks them apart with a sword. Their wounds heal just in time for them to get back to the demon and be torn open all over again, a physical reenactment of the division they caused. This same principle of karmic justice powers the Chinese underworld, known as Diyu. It's often shown as a massive spiritual bureaucracy with 18 levels of torment designed to cleanse a soul before reincarnation. So it's not eternal damnation, but that doesn't make it any less horrifying. Each punishment is a direct consequence of the sinner's actions. Gossips and liars are sent to the tongue-ripping hell, where their tongues are pulled out over and over again. Arsonists are chained to red-hot copper pillars, forced to feel the same flames they inflicted on others. And in a chillingly direct form of justice, those who were cruel to animals are sent to the cattle pit, where they are eternally gored and trampled by the very creatures they abused. In Dayu, you don't just suffer, you suffer the specific pain you caused. From Tantalus's endless hunger to Sisyphus's pointless workday, it's clear that for most of human history, hell wasn't a place of simple pain. It was a place of terrible, intricate, and deeply personal meaning. These punishments weren't just about revenge, they were about revelation. They forced the soul to confront the nature of its own sin, to experience the very essence of its failings, forever. These ancient mythologies show us a profound psychological truth. The most horrifying punishment isn't one inflicted on you from the outside. It's one that grows directly from your own actions. It's a hell of your own making. These tales are a dark and timeless testament to our fascination with justice, and they leave us with a chilling question. What do these ancient nightmares, these poetically just hells, reveal about our own sense of right and wrong today? If you enjoyed this descent into the underworld's darkest secrets, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more journeys into mythology and history. And let us know in the comments which mythological punishment you find the most terrifying.